Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of On the Range podcast with Hogg Tactical and Kelley Defense. We got a live show going today, got some other things going today, but we're going to talk some tariffs, some trade stuff, some border stuff, some other politics, and we're also going to talk about some entertainment stuff. I am Mark Kelley. Joined with me, as always, is my co-host and friend from the road. It's a big treat for all you guys. Rick Hogg from Hogg Tactical. How's it going, buddy?
Man, Mark, it's going great. Here's the thing. We were talking about this kind of in pre-production. The beauty with having the mobile podcast or us being, not being studio based is we've got the flexibility. And yep, we're on the road heading to Florida. We got some upcoming training events down here. So got a little John boat in tow. So always a good time, man. But no,
man.
just want to thank you, the viewer listener out there, for giving us your most precious commodity, your time to tune in. You'll have to excuse the sun. So I think Mark's going to put a little disclaimer out there. With the sun over there, me traveling down 95, we're not responsible for any epileptic seizures. So, yeah. But I apologize. I tried to get the sunscreen over there, but it is what it is, guys. But no, always good to be doing a live with you, bud.
Oh, yeah. Wherever you are, thank you for making us part of your day. Be sure to swing by ontherangepodcast.com as well as Hogg Tactical and KelleyDefense.com. Make sure you sign up for those newsletters and make sure you sign up for those email lists. That's the best way to really stay connected. If you're not a member of the crew, if you go to that website of ontherangepodcast.com, you can sign up for the crew membership if you're interested in the bonus content that we have, all the training stuff, early access to our training calendars. And that's what Rick's doing. He's doing some training stuff down there in Florida. So the big benefit, like you said, about having this web-based studio is because, this isn't our only gig. We do a lot of training stuff, and make sure you take advantage of that. And then we'll probably put in a plug to see if there's anybody else that can join the training that he's doing this weekend. So stand by for that. But if you're listening, you're missing a little bit of stuff, but you're going to get the whole package because we're going to post this up ASAP. So Rick, we were talking pre-production while we were getting the studio set up. Lots going on. A lot's going on. We actually called this on our last live about how we believed without a doubt that many of these countries, in fact, I think all of them, are going to have to come to the table because there's not going to be a table there because of the leverage that we have with the enormous economy that the United States has. And that trade, even though it's creating great deficits for us against these other countries, it's only 15% of our overall GDP. It's not like that for Canada, Mexico, and some of these other countries. So this isn't surprising to us at all, is it?
No, and the thing is, here's the sad state of affairs is we didn't have to get into this boat. But the past administration, being weak and leaderless, put us there. The beauty is, with Trump in office, he's a businessman. He's a true leader. He understands global economics. I mean, my man's been talking about this stuff back in the 80s when he used to do his phone calls with all these different news networks, going on shows, doing whatever. It's always been about how we're we are getting shafted when it comes to trades and tariffs and everything else. So all he's done is just stepped up to the plate and go, hey, man, we're in the power position. In 1913, we, the U.S. citizen, did not pay income tax, and that was all based off of a tariff system. So, for those people, Chuck Schumer's and all this other stuff, shadow governments complaining, all his garbage, my man's wrong. He's just afraid of people peeking under the hood, seeing what's up. But at the end of the day, Trump where are we at? 2 weeks?
Yeah.
I mean, look at how much change has happened just in 2 weeks. So, we had said that, hey, man, these countries can't sustain that amount of tariff numbers. And sure enough, Mexico's like, yep, we're going to send 10,000 more troops to the border. I think your border crossings are down 93%, so it's major things are happening. But again, it's having that leadership in action.
Right. No, those are great points. And the fact of the matter is I don't know what the argument even is for these other countries. Chuck Schumer talking about avocados and maple syrup and some beer is absolutely ridiculous because, again, 85% of our stuff is domestic. 85%. The fact that the leverage just isn't there for these other countries. I mean, I know they got to say something, because the prices of their stuff is what's going to go up. So they got to say something that this isn't good for anybody. No, if it wasn't good for us, we wouldn't be doing it. And this is a good example. I got some footage here, Rick. Hopefully you'll be able to hear that as well as I can. But this is right before, I believe this is right after Mexico was speaking with Trump concerning helping out with the border, which is not an unreasonable request from the United States, by the way. And this is prior to Canada coming to the table and basically giving us some help with the border. So here we go.
Pain, and people understand that. But long term, the United States has been ripped off by virtually every country in the world. We have deficits with almost every country. We've been helping everybody for years. And to be honest, I don't think they appreciate it. So we're going to change that. We're going to change it fast. We're going to make America great again. Canada's been very abusive of the United States for many years. We subsidize Canada by the tune of about $200 billion a year. And for what? What do we get out of it? We don't get anything out of it. Millions of people flowed into our country through Mexico and Canada, and we're not going to allow that.
He makes a very good point. I think it's been going on so long that they really do not appreciate it, Rick. I just don't think they appreciate it, how much money, not just the money they're making from trade, but some of the other stuff that we're doing, not to mention the defense piece.
Yeah, well, I mean, he brought up a great point, right? We subsidize them $200 million.
Yep, a year.
A year. It's like, for what? What are we? And I think that's the whole thing that, people fail to realize. And it's shocking. Well, it's not shocking, but the only people arguing against all this stuff are the Dems. I wonder why. Because they don't want their cash cow pulled out from underneath them, right? But I think it's with Doge in place, it's basically being the accountability piece for us, the taxpayer, to go, hey, where's your dollars going?
Yeah.
So cool. We're giving $200 million. And it's like, with all this money we give these cats, where's it going? Who's getting what? Show me the receipts.
Yeah.
And
And
no,
let me jump in there, because there's two pieces to it. It's the elimination of waste on top of the, fixing the international trade and leveling out these trade. We're not trying to monopolize the trade or have a better deal than anybody. It is what it is. If we're sending, it's got to be relative to the amount of stuff that we're sending and buying, as opposed to the amount that they're sending and buying.
Mm-hmm.
If the European Union doesn't buy hardly anything from us and we buy everything from them.
Yeah. Well, I think Trump used a great word. We've been getting ripped off.
Yeah.
Every American can understand getting ripped off.
Yep.
And that's what it is. So why not sit there and go, hey, man, we're giving all these countries all this money for what? And all Trump's doing is going, hey, man, we're going to fix this handout system, for lack of better terms, because at the end of the day, he summed it up. They're not grateful.
No.
So, hey, Canada, you get $200 million a year from us. And then Trudeau wants to get on there and go, oh, man, what are you guys doing? Didn't go, hey, man, thanks for that money every year. Did never mention that.
No.
So,
well, they don't mention it now.
No.
They might do it when they're talking to him on the phone. He probably brings that up a lot. But yeah, they're not mentioning that now. That's unbelievable. And imagine what would happen to Canada. And a lot of people didn't want to see this, and I know the Canadians don't like to hear it. They don't produce very much. They just don't. So the one guy we had on the show that we had his little clip, he was right. He was spot on. when you talk about all the stuff that they do and do not produce compared to what we buy and what we sell to them, it's closer to 40% of their GDP in Canada.
Yeah.
Tied to the United States.
Yeah.
That's a lot. They're the ones that are actually dependent on us. It's not the other way around. And they're just kidding themselves. There's another part about this too, how quickly the amount of companies were rushing, because we've already got a boom coming right now from the regulations being stripped away, the production's going up. And we've talked about this, a couple years ago during the Biden administration, how you have to operate in a surplus, with the energy and all that other thing. That goes with retail too. And they're just not producing stuff. Neither are we at this moment. But the boom in the production and the talk of all the folks that were going to bring their production to the United States to avoid the tariff was instantaneous. And it's going on right now, even before he came on.
Yeah. And I mean, you look at, this has been something that's been going on for a while. Prime example, let's use Hickory, North Carolina. Used to be a major furniture hub, for furniture manufacturing. Dude, we used to go up there and you get all kinds of bargain deals, right? Because you're right there at the manufacturer.
Right.
And slowly over time, we're losing our manufacturing to go overseas, make it cheaper, right? And it still boggles my mind that somehow it's cheaper to ship wood over to China, have them sit there, mill it, produce it, put it into whatever, make furniture, and then ship all that back. It still blows me away that somehow that's cheaper.
Yeah.
But I love what Trump, here's the thing. We're going to put the tariffs on so that at the end of the day, let's bring manufacturing back here to the U.S. And there's got to be, and we kind of talked about this the other day, there's got to be that sense of pride to sit there and go, let me buy American. I'm going to spend a couple extra bucks, but let's support us versus supporting everybody else.
Yeah. And that's an easier sell when you drop this inflation down too. That's another part of it. The tax stuff that they're working on as well, So there's another piece about this. I wanted to talk about this lady from, it's Elena Abba, I believe her name, the counsel for Trump. She makes a good point, and so does this Fox Business clip. For those who aren't watching, go ahead and take a listen to this, Rick.
A new poll out of KPMG of 250 Canadian businesses, half of them would have shifted their production to the U.S. if tariffs did take effect. U.S. manufacturing is now out of recession. There is a blue-collar boom already under Trump. It just expanded into positive territory in January. It's moving now northward. Can you talk to us about how rapidly China is talking now a trade deal?
Let me bring that graph back, Rick. That's a poll from 250 Canadian businesses. And 60% of them said a lot of these things. 86% of them said it was a wake-up call to improve their production. Well, that's because they're not producing anything. They know that all their money is coming from the trade, and the tariffs would have killed them.
Yeah.
And the investments for production in moving into the United States went up by half. So that's 125 of those companies would have most undoubtedly shifted to the United States. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and well, it's really not, because when you talk, Kevin O'Leary was on the other day, and again, he's a Canadian, right? So he's very savvy and tuned to what's going on up in Canada, and it was the same point, right? So you got to think about it from Trudeau's standpoint, dude. Yeah, you've got the tariff on there, okay, fine, but now you're going to start losing, and in essence, it was going to be half. So if you take a poll across all your different Canadian companies, because they're all going to get hit, you're going to have half pick up and move to the U.S. Oof,
right.
That's
catastrophic.
Yeah, because not only are you having to deal with the tariffs, now you got to deal with all your tax loss when they all pick up and go, boom, out you go.
Yeah, absolutely catastrophic. And, to get back to the piece of the waste, when they started talking about the press secretary, and there's a great page on X. It's this rebuttal to, the fake news. I got my air quotes up for those who are listening. Whenever they say something that they completely want to refute, 47 is called Rapid Response 47 on X, I believe is what it's called. And I think we got some clips from it. They immediately rebut it by putting out a post, and the press secretary, Caroline Levitt, gets on there and just totally blasts them when appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really good page. I'm going to bring some stuff about that. So the waste. So then all of a sudden this, the United States Agency for International Development. Now he was very clear, Rick, and we talked about this right after inauguration. Hey man, executive order, all foreign aid right now is going to be blasted. Now there's some exceptions in there, with Israel and some other things, Ukraine, but it's done until we take care of the American families and the American citizens that are suffering from these catastrophic incidents that are going around where FEMA's, fumbling and bumbling around and folks are out there helping each other. So that was a big piece, but starting to unveil, pulling the curtains back on some of these agencies at the same time was DOGE.
Mm-hmm.
DOGE was out there getting after it, and they pulled apart this international development stuff, and it's an absolute disaster. I want to hear your thoughts on that real quick before I throw up Marco Rubio, because apparently nobody was in charge. So Trump says, yeah, this is going to be the Secretary of State that's going to be taking care of this.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the whole thing. So you have a government agency with nobody in charge, no oversight. God knows how many millions of dollars they're, drawn in every year.
Yeah.
But the key thing is, I go right back, and I kind of mentioned this earlier. You've got the Dems who are absolutely petrified of DOGE, right? And Chuck Schumer being kind of the head honcho going, my man's not even bright enough, again, lifelong politician, that he can't understand all Elon's doing is he's just looking under the hood and reporting to Trump.
Right.
So he tries to use, and the Dems' perfect, playbook is the scare tactic. He's on TV going, oh yeah, they're looking at your tax records. They're looking at your Social Security. They're looking at your this and that. And dude, here's the thing. I don't think a single American really cares, because the amount of waste that's been identified. And here's the thing. Those of us working people, we want to sit there and go, hey man, cut the fat.
Well, that's real rich coming from them when they were hiring all them IRS agents and giving them guns.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's real rich. Yeah.
Yeah. And think about it. That whole, because it goes right back to the 16th that, and if you notice in the word Congress, right? Congress shall collect the income tax.
Yeah.
Dude. So it's funny, and hopefully we kind of wake up as Americans, but here it is, Congress collecting the income tax on $175,000 a year, but they're all multimillionaires.
Yeah.
Let that one, and they weren't multimillionaires going in the job. So let that one sink in.
I think AOC, she gained wealth almost immediately, didn't she?
Yeah, she had, so AOC is probably the best case. She had a net worth of $20,000 going into Congress.
Yeah.
And old girl, man, she's a multimillionaire right now. I want to get her playbook, man. What's your investing strategy there, girlfriend? Because you are crushing it.
Yeah. I think we're going to talk a little bit about AOC and how, we kind of agree that she's a force to be reckoned with, but let's stick with this International Development Agency with Marco Rubio talking about that, because, he was placed in charge of it because nobody was
in charge,
Exactly. So let's go ahead and listen to Marco Rubio real quick.
The issue, as I said, is, there are things that USAID, that we do through USAID, that we should continue to do, and we will continue to do. But everything they do has to be in alignment with the national interest and the foreign policy of the United States.
Yes.
And the attitude that USAID has adopted over the years is, no, we are independent of the national interest. We fund programs irrespective of whether it's aligned or not aligned with the foreign policy. That's ridiculous. These are taxpayer dollars. Every penny that we spend in foreign aid needs to be in furtherance and aligned with the national interest and the foreign policy of the United States. So this is not about ending the programs that USAID does. per se. There are things that it does that are good, and there are things that it does that we have strong questions about. It's about the way it operates as an entity. And they're supposed to take direction from the State Department, policy direction. They do not. Not only do not take policy direction, they're completely uncooperative.
Wow.
When you ask questions, when you try to go in and find out, okay, what does this program do? Who's getting the money? Why was this funded? Why are we doing this? Why aren't you coordinating with the embassy or the State Department? Their attitude is, we don't have to answer to you because we are independent. We answer to no one. Well, that's not true. And
That was Secretary.
So those who are watching, you got a real treat here. You got Marco Rubio from Fox News clip coming from the On the Range Cast X page. We reposted this. He's 100% right. And that should be shocking to the American people. That should be absolutely shocking. And I want everybody to hear us when Rick and I say these all the time. Look, not only do the programs that they are funding through, I think it was like $70 billion is what they get every year, something crazy. That taxpayer slip that they get has to be in line with what the Americans want to see. Now, do we want to continue to, like a lot of the aid food, we feed a lot of those folks. Do we want that to keep going? Absolutely. Do we want, us to help with research, help bring water and resources to famished countries and third world countries that we've been doing and help develop that stuff? Absolutely. We're about ready to drop a truth bomb on you from Caroline Levitt that we saw and reposted as well. And buddy, that's not what this stuff is going to. And she's going to be gangster and tell us exactly what some of these funds are going to. Check this out, Rick. It's unbelievable. And she's doing a bang up job, by the way. Caroline is.
Through USAID over the past several years, these are some of the insane priorities that organization has been spending money on. $1.5 million to advance DEI in Serbia's workplaces, $70,000 for a production of a DEI musical in Ireland, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia, $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. I don't know about you, but as an American taxpayer, I don't want my dollars going towards this crap, and I know the American people don't either, and that's exactly what Elon Musk has been tasked by President Trump to do, to get the fraud, waste, and abuse out of our federal government. Thank you, guys.
She just had to drop the mic. If you guys aren't watching this, she just walked away from the podium. Boom. Unbelievable, Rick. I want to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, it just goes right in the line, right? So Marco Rubio summed it up. You've got an agency that's doing, basically running amok. And then we've got Elon kind of popping the hood going, hey, man, here's all this stuff. And Marco Rubio hit the nail on the head. Really, did any of that stuff she just mentioned have any alignment with U.S. foreign interests? No. I mean, and think about it, right? Think about the common theme. Shocking. All DEI, all transgender. Where'd we hear that one from? Right? That's the common playbook out of either the Dems or the Biden administration, right? So it's the same garbage. Why don't we get back, like you said, hey, man, if we are going to have this program, help those that need helping in the fact of either help them grow their own crops, help with some food resource, find that water, get the water themselves. That's the kind of things that should be aligned with. And, Marco summed it up the best going, dude, you try to ask and like these guys kick back. No way, dude.
Yeah.
So I think it should be under state control because it should be aligned. And then you look at what is our interest in those different regions that we're supporting, and they better align. If not, really, DEI, dude, garbage, right? That's been proven time and time again.
Yeah.
All your what? Transgender opera and comic books. Really? Give me a break, man.
Why should we care what the DEI policy is for Peru?
We shouldn't.
We shouldn't.
All that stuff is a smokescreen, right? Because I'll go back to the classic, and somebody brought this one up. So one of the other programs was like $50 million so they can supply condoms to Gaza. Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah.
If that's your case, show me the PO. Who's the manufacturer supplying this, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no receipts on this money. And I swear, man, they just sit there and go, oh yeah, let's have this DEI program, this transgender program, and somebody's just sticking them dollars in their pocket because they've got nothing to bounce it off of. And then they've been so arrogant over the years to go, don't ask us. We don't answer to you. So you know for a fact somebody's lining their pockets.
Yeah. And that's, to me, is the biggest thing with the arrogance of not necessarily thinking that they don't have to align the programs with the beliefs of the taxpayer, but the fact that you don't have to open up your books. Yeah, like you said, they're not even giving the business to the American companies that could have provided all this stuff. They're not even doing that. Unbelievable. So anyway, I can't help but think that if they had been cooperative, if they had just been transparent, that maybe they could have just cut a lot of that stuff that doesn't align with what the American people want, and they still would have been able to operate. They wouldn't have been shut down like they had. But I almost guarantee, I think, Rick, we lost him for a second. We'll give him a second to come back. But I almost guarantee that they were completely uncooperative when it came to folks asking some simple questions, some simple questions that should have been a no-brainer to answer. They should have those funds available and that paperwork, just like anybody else that's doing anything for the government or who's being paid by someone a substantial amount of money. When they come and say, hey, let me take a look at that and see exactly, where this is going and how it's working before we write this next check to you. Well, you're going to do it. Anybody that's on the up and up is going to do that. Yeah, we dropped Rick. He's probably in a bad spot. He's going to get back on here. But at the same time, it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me. It might be shocking to some folks to think that we are doing a DEI themed comic book in Peru. It doesn't surprise me at all, folks. It does not surprise me at all. So if that isn't enough to make you suspicious, then think about why they wouldn't be willing to open up their stuff. So just think about that. Anyway, I think Marco Rubio is a good guy to put in charge of this. I think he's doing a bang up job. He's going to go down to Panama and talk about the Panama Canal. And I think the importance is being lifted to, do we got you on audio, Rick? Okay, not yet. We'll get him in here. He must be in a bad spot. But anyway, the importance of the cabinet picks is really, really showing through here. How long has that waste been going on? How long has this attitude that they don't have to answer to the American people been going on? Probably for a very long time. And it also shows that this had to have been hidden from the president during his first term. If he was aware of this before in his first term, Rick, he would have absolutely had at least had something to say about it, but he didn't have the option of getting his team in there like he does this time. And then, we've talked about it. He's in a much better spot now in 2024 election than he was in the 2020 election.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing, right? Is he's smarter. But here's the other part. And this is the part that the Dems, because again, they've never run a business before. He's running it just like a business, right? So it's a matter of the checks and balances with that stuff being done, and it's just like, show me the receipts,
right?
So it's no different. You go into the CPA at the end of the year, and it's like, oh, I want to claim all this deductions. Well, show me the receipts,
right?
And I think we, the American people, are owed that. And I'm excited to see what else. Well, I say excited, but it's also going to be scary when it's like, hey, what else does Doge uncover?
Oh, dude.
For all this waste. And like people, I remember when Elon came out, and I think he said, there's billions of dollars out there floating around.
Yeah.
And people were kind of like rolling their eyes. Yeah. No, dude, he's finding it, right? And people are panicking.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it's all the Dems that are panicking. They're the ones saying all this stuff. And if you can find that money, where it's going or not going or being used for, and funnel it back. I don't think there's one single American that would argue those dollars come back to us in some way, shape, or form. No one's going to balk at that. They're going to be happy. No. Cool.
No. I mean, they were basically throwing out the number of $2 trillion almost instantly. And I think the most shocking thing about it is how easily they're finding it. Mm-hmm. When he withdrew from the Paris Climate Treaty, $1 trillion saved. Boom. Yeah. One stroke of the pen. I had no idea it was that much that they were going to save. And that might be over a 4-year of the term of his presidency. However, that's a lot of jack, man. And the fact that this $70 billion that they're given to these programs, and like Rubio said, there are things that we are going to continue to do that we should be doing, but a lot of it's not. So if we can cut that budget by half and still, give the things that the American people want to help develop for international countries that need our help, we're going to be down. It's just like the same, dude. Do you want to pay $50 for a Big Mac, or do you want to pay $60 for the best steak you've ever had? It's what you're getting. It's the value of the purchase, and it just isn't there. Peru comic book, themed trans comic book. Give me a freaking break.
Yeah, but that just falls in line with somebody's agenda. Here's the part. If that's even true, it's like,
great point.
Show me the receipts, because just because you say you've got this earmarked, okay, cool. So I sit there and go, hey, however many millions of dollars or whatever it was earmarked. Oh yeah, we sent it off here. Well, where'd you send it to? Oh, this offshore bank account. Well, who's got that bank account, right? Like, brother, that's the whole thing when it comes to this whole transaction. Dude. Okay, who did so? Like in the comic book case, well, Snuffy X, show me your receipt that you received the money. You'd be like, what money?
Yeah,
I ain't seen no money. Yeah. Right? I mean, that's all it is, just accountability.
I'm gonna try to tie in something that's got nothing to do with anything before we move on to our next topic and we talk about the sponsor of the show today. But you think these are the people who are running these operations are the ones that grew up without having to balance their checkbook or have to make sure that they had enough money in the bank to pay their bills before they wrote the check? You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, this idea of sending money out there just so arbitrarily as you described it, and that's how it works. Mm-hmm. I mean, dude, Ukraine just lost what, $110 billion or something?
Think about it. Think about it. The federal government, the only business around that can run so much in the red, year after year after year, still in business.
Yeah.
Right. And absolutely. I think Trump's like, nope, we're going to bring that checkbook back into the black as it should be. I mean, that's just, golly, crazy.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I wouldn't let these folks freaking manage my my penny bank that I have, full of the water jug of pennies, to make sure that was squared away, because they'll screw that up as well. Anyway, folks, the sponsor of today's show, as always, is the Firearms Training Notebook. 1% better every single day from Warhog Tactical and Kelley Defense. Yes, I know it's amazing. We are published authors, co-authors of the book, but we stand by it. It's really starting to catch on. It's available on Amazon if you go to ontherangepodcast.com, and you can click right to the link. Guys and girls, if you care about the progress of your firearms training journey and your marksmanship, you have to collect tangible datas and have a plan. And this is one of the best outline. Matter of fact, I don't think there's anything else there exactly like this at all, Rick. And we've been doing notebooks for years, and we finally decided to put it out, and it's really catching on, especially law enforcement and those who are in military, and you have to be very efficient with your training. The Firearms Training Notebook is going to help you with that. So make sure you check that out. Go to ontherangepodcast.com, or you go to warhog.com or kelleydefense.com. You can click to the link and go ahead and purchase and grab one of those for yourself or for anybody else that's trying to really level up their marksmanship training. Now, Rick, another thing that came out this week, and this is kind of on the lighter side, but it's really when you brought up Chuck Schumer, it really brings it to the front of the conversation. They are so out of touch, absolutely so out of touch in the Democratic Party that they're basically a rudderless ship, and they have no idea what they're doing. And surprisingly, the mainstream media tried to swing a little bit towards the center. It just isn't working because they just do not understand where the American people are. So they had their DNC chair forum where they're basically electing the folks who are going to operate the campaigns for the Democratic Party. And brother, not only was it a disaster as far as getting anything done, it was broadcast by NBC and it was on display at exactly how horrible and how out of touch and how rudderless this party is. Did you see any of the coverage of that, or did you hear about it at all?
I mean, I heard a little bit, but
Yeah.
The problem is the Dems are their own worst nightmare right now. Like they don't want to pull their blinders off, look at what just happened with the election, because everyone's telling them, hey man, your messaging isn't there. You're not aligned with the American people. I mean, think about it. Whether it's Lake and Riley, whether it's, here's a better one, keep women's sports for women, right? All the Dems are like, nope, we're not for that. Really? What are you for then, dude? Like, it's mind boggling that these cats are so out of touch with reality.
Yeah.
And it's going to cost them. So whoever they pick in there, they've got to almost start from, scratch and get some fresh blood to go, hey man, we have to figure out what the American people are aligned with, because their party's not. Their party is of everything non-regular values, if you want to say. And that's what's going to be the downfall of them. So I don't see them doing anything to turn themselves around, because they're so arrogant,
right,
that they think they're the cat's meow.
Yeah, especially after the results of the election. And then one of the results of this chair forum, David Hogg was elected to the vice chair.
Mm-hmm.
He has been screaming about totally disarming the United States and all of its citizens for almost a decade now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now he's your vice chair. That alone is going to alienate minimum half of the voters. Minimum. I think a great deal more now, because look at all the gun purchases that happened in California when everybody thought that they were going to take away the guns and all these other things were going to happen, and the crime was running rampant and the riots were going on.
Well, yeah, that and think about when the old China virus hit, right? People want to protect them. People want to protect themselves, right? So Dems that never owned gun before going, yep, I'm going to get me something to defend my family. But the problem is, here's what kills me with that whole piece. You can sit there and go, we want to disarm all you want. Okay, dude. So if you want to take away the Second Amendment from everybody else, what else do you want to take away? We know the Dems have preached over and over again censorship, right? They want to take free speech, right? Like, what else do they want to take away from you?
Yeah.
So with all that being said, again, it just goes to show they're out of touch with reality. Yeah. So versus getting these extremists Dems, was kind of some of your moderates, or kind of some toward the center, right? Somebody with some common sense approach. But I don't see them changing their messaging. And if you think he's going to be your vice chair and be the voice of reason, man.
Yeah. Maybe they're trying to target the younger vote. I don't know. But here's another thing, too. Due process was terribly under attack. Just the president's prosecutions and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Doing a search warrant, a FISA warrant on bullcrap information and raiding Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Well, and here's the thing with the FISA, right? Like, this is what people don't get with the FISA warrant, man. Dude, I don't want to say any warrants are less than others, but dude, the FISA is at the top of the freaking pyramid, right?
Yes.
So you're asking for specific things to get that, and just willy-nilly just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
So people have to understand that, whether you want to call it targeting your political enemies, whether it's doing whatever, when the Justice Department isn't being used to prosecute what needs to be prosecuted, when it's sitting there doing these witch hunts, dude, we got dramas.
Yeah.
But that was all Dem driven.
Yep. Let's go ahead and put on this some of this stuff. Let's have a little fun with it, because it was really, and if you haven't seen any of this, Rick, it was really a disaster. Let's check this out.
Yeah.
Maybe this guy. The DNC just elected the new leader over the weekend. His name is Ken Martin, Minnesota's party leader. He once called President Trump, quote unquote, a traitor. The event had some cringe-worthy moments. Take a watch.
I have a show of hands. How many of you believe that racism and misogyny played a role in Vice President Harris's defeat?
Yeah. Real shocker there. They all raise their hands.
Okay.
That right there proves your point that you just made, Rick. 100%. 100%. Let's continue. Yep. This is the part I want everybody to kind of focus on when it comes to how not only out of touch they are, but how ridiculous it even sounds to some of them. This is them trying to explain how they keep their board members diverse. Here we go. Try to follow this.
Previous elections, our elected officers at this point are currently 2 male and 2 female. In order to be gender balanced, we must add 1 male, 1 female, and 1 person of any gender. We shall know.
He goes on talking about how to make the board gender neutral. They had a discussion. It's all on video. You can go see it. NBC just ran it live. They went on for tens of minutes. It was almost an hour before they got it. They couldn't even know how many people were going to be elected through the vote, because he couldn't even, you can see he's reading. He doesn't understand it either.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely ridiculous. And these are the people that are going to represent and continue to campaign and send out the message for the Democratic Party. It's going to be an absolute disaster. It's not shaping up to be anything other than that. And there's another girl I want to put on here that she is awesome. Her name is Audrey from We Got Receipts, but she did a cover of this too, the Democratic National Chair Forum. Here we go.
Here at home. Okay.
Party.
But the other.
Can you? Hello. Excuse me. Election cycle. You do not. These particular. And Democrats are still taking money from the army.
This isn't an open aired event. This is a ticketed event from supporters, and this is what they're getting. It goes on like this the entire time. And these NBC, unbiased journalists, right, Rick? They're in charge there, and they can't hold it down for 5 seconds to even get one question out. Before this little segment ended, where they were going to do a question and answer of the candidates for the chairs, they had to throw people out. Police were involved, physically thrown out. It was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. It's a joke.
You got to sit there and go, what are these cats doing?
I don't know.
Right. And that's the question of the hour, Mark, is you got infighting in the Dem party. I don't think they know what their own messaging is.
No.
They're right back to this racist, rhetoric over Harris. It's like, dude, people will tell you that had anything to do with that campaign, we missed messaging.
Yeah.
They do not relate with the American people. They have no idea what the American people's needs, wants are. And they've got to get off of this basically anti-American rhetoric, right? Quit going after guns. How about we go after criminals, right? Let's keep the border safe. How about them apples? Let's get the poison out of our food. Let's bring our gas prices down. Let's get rid of the federal income tax. There's a concept, right? But they don't want to do any of that. And it all boils down, in my opinion, these cats just want power. They just want money.
Yep.
And they are getting it from us, the American people. But this is, dude, the change is here, man. We're already at 2 weeks. Dude, I am blown away. It's like, I can't even wrap my head around what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks. I
No.
really can't. You know, who knows what door is going to be open, what waste is going to be found. So it's a great time to be Americans.
Yeah.
But the Dems, man, and like I said, I've said this time and time again, I don't agree with the party systems. I don't agree in that division. But they are just, dude, they're sinking their ship. I don't know how they're going to recover. I really don't.
No. Yeah, just like the legacy media. I mean, it's an absolute disaster. And, you know, here's another thing, too, for those who aren't on the side of what the Democratic Party represents right now, that's the party. It's not Joe Manchin anymore, the Clinton era Democrats. It's not them anymore. The Carter Clinton era. It's not them anymore. This is what it is. And if you don't support that, it's almost like, hey, man, I'm not going to interrupt someone that I don't like or an enemy while they're making a mistake. You know, keep going the direction you're going. I think you're on the right track here, because it's going to be another disaster. Not only because people were tired of what was going on before, they're going to want to continue what Trump's doing now and all the folks he has in place. And JD Vance is a freaking rock star, absolute rock star. So you're looking at a potential 12-year run of this type of administration and America First common sense policy that people aren't going to want to get away from.
No, I mean, think about it. You've got the team assembled.
Yep.
You have look at the cabinet. You know, short of something catastrophic happening, dude, you just roll everything you got.
Right.
I mean, Mark, I can't think 2 weeks. You want to think 12 years? I can't
dude.
imagine. I can't imagine what would happen. But this is what the American people have been asking for, begging for, pleading for, right? Yeah. It's finally coming to fruition. It's like, but all this DEI garbage, nobody wants DEI.
No.
What people want is the ability to do whatever they want. Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. That's it. And how do we make that happen? On our own accord.
Yeah.
We are the masters of our own being, our own direction.
Yeah. So. Big shout out to Laura Goodman. You guys are spot on what the majority of American people went through. Yeah. Really appreciate you listening in, Laura. But here's the thing too, Rick. Much less serious topic. I'm into the entertainment stuff. I love watching, these made up shows and see what people are going to say. Not because I really care about most of the entertainers. I do think some people were slighted on the Grammys. But at the same time, hey, that's their thing. Let them do it. It's America. We love to see it. However, the Grammys, Trevor Noah, who I didn't even think was working anymore. Of course he's hosting. He's better than some of these other hosts like Jimmy Kimmel and some of these other folks that get on there. And even the lady that did the Golden Globe, she was okay. Okay, but whatever. He must have made 20 jokes about how he's not going to be able to perform anymore in America and all this immigration stuff. I'm like, dude, let it go, man. Yeah. Let it do so. Okay, tell a joke. Tell one joke. It's fair, but come on, move on. Anyway, I just don't think he's funny at all. But some of the things that were there were the outfits, of course, and the red carpet. I think Jaden Smith, Will Smith's son, wore this castle on top of his head. Kanye West paraded his wife out there with not a stitch of clothing on the red carpet. All these other crazy stuff that, I think, Kanye says some things that I agree with sometimes, but he says a lot of things I don't. He's just out there, man. But Beyonce, wonderful talent. Don't get me wrong. I mean, what they got going on, Rick and I, we've talked about that before, and that's going to be another show when that breaks loose. But she won Best Country Artist when I think it should have been Chris Stapleton this year. His album absolutely killed. But there's always someone that goes to these events who I want to showcase, and that is Joy Villa. She's the one that always wears the Trump hats.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna be, we're down with Trump and all this other stuff. He's just doing a bang up job. But I want to. It's not hard for her to do these things, to get up there and say what she feels. But she hits on some of the topics we're talking today. So let's go ahead and bring that up, Rick. Before I start, what do you think about this entertainment stuff and how Joy Villa gets vilified for this?
Well, because that's the whole thing, right? Like, whether it's the music industry, Hollywood, whatever, they've all been very open. If you go against whatever their mainstream agenda is, which you look at, most of it is all between your trafficking, your pedo crap. If you start debunking that stuff or saying anything against, dude, you're going to get canceled, right? You're going to get hung out to dry. You're going to get excommunicado from whatever, the music or the film industry. Unless you've got the juice or been in the industry for a while, so, Mel Gibson, prime example, he's been very, very boisterous as far as what goes on up there in Hollywood. But for you to buck the system, for you to go out there with anything MAGA, anything Trump, anything pro-America, dude, that's a bold step, because they want nothing to do with you. So
yeah,
hats off.
Yeah, hats off to her. Let's hear what she's got to say. She's all dressed up. She's got a hat on that says "This hat stays on." Yeah, it's red. It's very reminiscent of the MAGA hats. Let's go ahead and listen to what she's got to say.
I think the ones that should be deported are being deported. To be honest, I'm a Latina. My family came from this country to this country legally. And I love to see rapists, human traffickers deported. I don't want to see them here. I want us to be free for all colors, for all people. Like, that's what makes America great again. So we can create, so we can live. Like, as an artist, as a musician, I want to be able to walk at night and not think that I'm going to get killed by an illegal alien. And so those are the people getting deported, and those are the people that should get deported.
And, this is exactly why, Rick, that these elite types like Lady Gaga, tremendous talent, okay, Lady Gaga. But they hate to see folks like Joy Villa here talk like this, because it resonates with, well, we at least know, well over half of the voters, but it resonates with almost everybody who is just trying to, live life and pursue happiness. Safety is crazy talk when you're saying it any other way, but she's a great messenger for what most Americans really believe.
She is, but listen to her verbiage, right? She didn't call them migrants.
Yep.
She called them exactly what they are: illegal aliens. Illegal.
Yeah.
And that's the part that, again, part of the whole Dem playbook is, if we change words, well, they're migrants. Well, if you're a migrant, you've gone through the proper channel. You've gone through a port of entry. You getting your feet wet in the Rio Grande does not make you a migrant for nothing. You're an illegal alien.
Yeah.
And
the Dreamers label was very effective at that. Very effective at doing that, because people say, "Oh yeah, okay, we want these people to come here. We want to help them and benefit." Okay, again, it's a very clever marketing label, and that's exactly right. But who's being arrested and who? Tom Home and DHS now with Secretary Noem, they're getting rid of the criminals, just like this lady said.
Oh yeah, dude, they're cleaning house, and it's still mind-boggling that you still have some Americans belly aching over that.
Yeah.
I'm all about, hey man, you want to come to this country? I'm all for migration. If you look at it, everyone says, our migration policies are broken. They're pretty clear cut.
Yeah.
They are pretty clear cut as far as what's allowed, the number of people, the influx, how many people you can take on a regular migration case, how many you can take that are fleeing oppression, all this other thing. It's clear cut. But the Dems always love to play something about, the immigration policy reform. They're just trying to sucker more voters, man. That's all they want. Yeah. How come none of the Dems ever say this is the policy?
Yeah.
Because they don't want to get freaking busted again.
Yeah, and take a look at the voting maps of the states that are sanctuary cities, and look at what states were won by Kamala. Now, they could align with the policies on many other things, but I don't think that's a coincidence. And I don't think it's a coincidence where they were sending all those folks, because the big thing about that map will show you who has voter ID and who doesn't. And they're directly aligned. And it is possible. It's very possible. We have a very good friend that we speak to on a weekly basis who went through the process last year. So what's your excuse? This is a nation of laws, always has been since we started, and we gave all these rights to the American citizens. But you got to play by the rules here, and they just seem to think that they didn't have to, and they just allowed to open that freaking border up, which again is a violation of the law by not prosecuting those laws and enforcing those laws, and no one seemed to care for 4 years.
Yeah,
that's a lot of people coming across that fence, bro.
People, here's the thing: your average citizen cared.
Yep.
You know, those living in, you know, fairyland America, they're the ones. Oh yeah, keep coming, bring them across. Yeah, but the thing is, it'll be interesting to see once we finally get all that garbage out, what's going to be the Dems' next play? Because you know they're going to try to do something, right?
Yeah.
It'll be because that ship's going. Tom Holman, dude, he's not going to stop until he scoops all of them out and says, bam, out you go.
Yeah.
Then I'm sure the Dems will be on some other, you know, how can we get some more people in? Dude, you can't.
Yeah.
Sorry. Change. It all boils down to this, Mark. Change your messaging, right?
Yep.
Get in line with American values. Quit breaking the law. Quit stealing our money. Keep, you know, citizens safe. And dude, just let us be about our business.
Yeah.
You want the Dems to do something? You want to see the Dems really excel? Dude, if they could repeal the 16th,
yeah,
that would be their mark in history. And I would love to I'm going to do some more research. I'd love to see who introduced that bill. Who came up with this great idea that says we, the Congress, are going to start taking your hard-earned dollars?
Yeah. Well, and here's another thing too. You talk about fast tracking, balancing the budget, and make sure you have money to pay for everything. If you're not getting those free dollars from the taxpayer, then you got to get it from other ways. You got to get it from tariffs. You got to get it from trade. You can't make these horrible deals. It's going to clean up a lot of that pork. It just is. And you're not going to be able to subsidize all these, you know, the folks in California. We've talked about the governance out there. Absolutely terrible. There was a young lady that was on our, that posted on our X page who was talking about that very thing, where she's like, look, I've got, you know, me and my brothers and sisters have families of 4, and we migrated the legal way, came into the country, became American citizens. They have to pay, you know, $1,700, whatever the number was, a month to pay for their health care, when folks are coming across, get it for free. It's some California insurance thing. And she's upset about it. And she's absolutely right. And
every right.
How you, as an American citizen who was, you know, born and raised here, aren't upset about that either. Not just for yourself. Let's say you're very fortunate. I feel that we're very fortunate as well. What about that person there who's working their butts off, came here the right way? That's who I'm concerned about. I want their stuff to be affordable and not be giving away free stuff to people who are criminally in this country. It's not a hard concept.
It's not. It shouldn't even be a concept, right? Because the part of, yes, you're always going to have those that are going to try to enter illegally, right? Without a doubt. You're never going to stop that. However, when you open the floodgates, when you sit there and basically slap the American people in the face, prime example. So I'm going to go take me a flight, and I got some freaking illegal there. And, you know, you can pick out the illegals because they all got their little government-issued Ziploc bag. You can see their government documents right in there. And you're sitting there going, well, that dude didn't have to go through TSA. That dude's getting a free, you know, plane ticket. And you feel like going, hey, Uncle Sugar, where's mine? right? It's a complete slap to the American people, and that's what the Dems don't get, man. So you try to pull this stunt, and all you did was slap everybody in the face.
Yeah.
So same thing with Newsom, right? Lets his freaking state burn to the ground, but you can't take care of your citizens.
Yeah.
You can't put your boot in that mayor's ass and go, no, it's executing today.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. And if all you go to our X page, we're going to put up the clip of Karen Bass basically, going backwards on what she told the president to his face, that these folks will be able to go in there within the week. And the president said it's too long. Now she's saying 4 weeks. And that was a week ago. Absolutely. It's unacceptable. It's absolutely ridiculous. And, for all those first responders and all those folks who are out there doing everything they can at all three of these areas that we've been talking about, Godspeed and be careful and keep up the great work. We do appreciate you. But the local government in some of these places, especially California, and then the state, and then FEMA, man, dropping the ball. And I hope that Trump's going to fix that. I think he's already on top of that. And I do know that some of the water was redirected and some of these things are filling up. But dude, you talk about
Day
putting
late,
the cart
dollar
before the
short.
horse. It's too late.
Yeah.
It's too late.
But here's the other thing too, Mark, is we can't forget, you still have between Western North Carolina and Maui that dude are totally off the radar.
Yeah.
Right. It's like California grabbed the attention, which, okay, that's the current issue. But at the end of the day, man, we can't forget, in essence, we've got 3 separate states with major catastrophic damage.
Yeah.
The part that concerns me is you've got both between Maui and California, man, wildfires, right? We didn't learn from the last, you didn't learn one from the other, but we've always known California's had issues, right? But then Western North Carolina, man, dude, I don't think I've heard anything in the news about Western North Carolina. So it's almost like it's been forgotten.
Yeah.
Poor suckers, Western where? So we can't forget, and again, holding especially the state of North Carolina, put their feet to the fire, take care of our own North Carolinians.
Yeah. I think we need to try to plan a trip out there and do some coverage on that, Rick.
Yeah.
Gonna have to do something because heart goes out to them and praise and lifting up those who are stepping up out there. Phenomenal. It's America, bro. Americans help Americans, and that was on full display. But they need this election couldn't have come at a better time for them. After that, so hopefully they get that taken care of. But anyway, folks, before we cut out of here, if you like this content and you want some exclusive content and you want more of what we get, Rick and I have out there, plus the training stuff and the video catalogs for training, go to ontheRangePodcast.com and join the crew. They got free memberships. You get a lot of content, but we also have the tier level where you get all the good stuff with the Zoom calls that Rick and I just had yesterday. It was a phenomenal, great turnout, very good conversation. But you also get the video catalogs, and you also talk about the monthly shooting skill builders that Rick puts together and sends out with the help of Safari Land and some other companies. So it's a lot of good stuff. If you like this content and you want more of it, go to ontheRangePodcast.com and become a crew member today. And yeah, man, great show, buddy. It worked out great. I-95 must be doing better with the cell towers. I don't know, maybe Skylink's out there or something. That was pretty good, buddy.
Dude, yeah, I mean, we had one little drop call. And again, there's that one little section I know in South Carolina that it occasionally happens because I've dumped some business calls before. But no, overall, I mean, definite sustain. And now knowing that this capability is there, dude, that just opens up really the spectrum to what On the Range can do. So whether it's one here, one there, wherever, that I think is absolutely just huge. So really just want to thank, the viewer listener out there for giving us their most precious commodity to tune in. Guys, if you are in the Panhandle area of Florida, especially for my law enforcement officers, check it out. February 6th or 7th, we have a 1-day free law enforcement red dot pistol course. sit there and go, well, Rick, I don't have a red dot. Not a problem. We'll provide the pistols, optics, and holsters for you guys. You just need to bring some ammo over at the Element Training Complex. So more info, swing by warhog.com. And then we've got between open enrollment, we've got a 1-day CQB course, and then we've got a 1-day pistol course. So
That's right.
That's the beauty down here in Florida. So, but brother, absolutely fantastic doing a live and having the mobility and flexibility to do it.
Yeah. Yep. So we're going to do some more of these, especially even if we're both in studio, we can have some folks on the ground somewhere and start getting some really good information and highlight some of the folks that are doing phenomenal work. That's what I really want to do.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man. So anyway, folks, go to warhog.com, kelleydefense.com. Again, check out Rick's stuff coming up this weekend down in the Panhandle of Florida. Like I said, it's free for law enforcement. Military folks, just got to reach out to him. We'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Make sure you go to the website and check out all the past episodes. They're all on there audio-wise. And then go to our social media stuff. Start to get some good movement on that, especially On the Range Cast on X. Go check that out. A lot of fun, a lot of good stuff on there, and get active with it. All right, buddy. Rick, well, man, I was glad you were able to join in, and we talked about it. We gave this thing a shot, so we're going to do it again. But it's been a lot of fun. We love the lives. Earlier time slot, we'll keep working on those. But if you want to go ahead and close it out, go ahead, buddy.
You know it, buddy. Guys, appreciate everything. As always, make sure you guys train hard, stay safe, and we'll see you on the range.